Welcome back to the league that means nothing on Go Again Gaming.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to wherever you may be. You are here on The League That Means Nothing, Season 4, and we are here on Go Again Gaming, and we are here for some Round 5 action. You're here with myself, Kiki, and Elaine.
Hi, hello. How are you today, Kiki?
I'm doing pretty well. Actually, things have been pretty full on with everything that's gone on. At the time of recording, this has just been post-spoiler season and a whole bunch of video editing and the grant announcement, so a lot's been going on, but we are now back to recording commentary, both for our league and this one, so we're super excited to be here, and we have a bit of a Fang week going on. I don't know if that was intentional or not, but both of the games that you and I will be commentating are Fang-based, and today we have Fang versus Oscilio. Two of your personal favorites, at least from an emotional standpoint, now that I think about it.
Yeah, at least from an emotional standpoint. Of course, you have the warrior. Every warrior I will always stand. And then Oscilio, as I've said publicly many times, is just like my husband. I don't really play him, but I really love him a lot. So
You would never play your husband, you know. Never.
right, no, never. I would never play my husband. Only in limited. Only in limited. I do exclusively play Oscilio.
Well, you know, we do have that age-old warrior versus wizard kind of matchup here. Not necessarily the most traditional decks when we think of warrior versus wizard, but I know you've just woken up, so I'm going to throw this on you. How do you kind of feel about this matchup? Like, do you have any sort of expectations going on here?
Wizard generally is a really hard matchup for Warrior, as you mentioned. Like, this is a pretty historical matchup. Wizard tends to just blow up Warrior before Warrior can have the damage output that the class needs. Because Warrior game plan is usually a slower game plan. You know, every Warrior wants to kind of do some sort of setup and then just kind of have that snowball effect in the game. And for Fang, it's the fealty tokens, right? So my concern in this matchup, although I've never played it, is that Oscilio is just going to be able to do too much damage for Fang. Fang basically needs to try and kill Oscilio as fast as possible before Oscilio kills him, I think. And it's kind of hard to do when you have to get to 3 fealty in order to have this snowball effect of your damage output. So we'll see. I guess one thing is that usually Warrior can give up quite a few equipment spots to AB. So yeah, I think it'll. We Bank just has to try and kill Oscilio as fast as possible. It would be my guess.
Yeah, that's kind of how I'm feeling about it as well. And having not watched the game, obviously, I do think that if Fang is able to get to the fealty tokens at a fairly quick pace, there is potential to kind of switch up the tempo that they're kind of going for. And my logic for that being is that Oscilio, while a wizard, is kind of more along the aggressive play multiple attacks and then only throw one arcane damage spell back at the end of the kind of combat, I guess. So if their goal is to play a lot of attacks beforehand, warriors notably do have a fairly good blocking capability. It'll be interesting to see if they have Violated Dynamos to kind of stop breakpoints, which will happen, and if they can kind of stop enough damage from the big combo turn that we expect to see from Oscilio. So looking kind of forward to see how that will pay off potentially. But of course, a lot of arcane damage can be tough, and Fang not necessarily known for having blues. They'll play some to kind of get their double dagger action off at the start of the game, but maybe they'll sideboard into more. Don't have deck lists, don't have an idea.
Yeah, Warrior tends to be a pretty resource tight deck. So I think once we start the game, a key thing to look at is definitely what kind of equipment the thing might be on. But yeah, do you want to jump into it?
Let's get into it.
This game, A League That Means Nothing, is brought to you by FLUKE and Box.com, the premier international source for all Flesh and Blood singles and rip and ship box breaks, with super competitive shipping prices as well, all of which is priced in your local currency on the website for your convenience. Head over to flukeandbox.com and make sure you go and subscribe to Fluke and Box on YouTube as well. Exclusive to the League That Means Nothing, we also have a discount code. That's TLTMN for 15% off your order on flukeandbox.com. That's one use per customer, so make sure you use it. That's discount code TLTMN for 15% off your order on flukeandbox.com. Have a good day, mate. Wallabies!
And welcome back to some Round 5 action here on The League That Means Nothing on Go Again Gaming. You're here with Kiki and Elaine, and we have Fang starting it off with Obsidian Fireblade Vein, going straight into it. And you made the note about looking at the equipment. How much Arcane Barrier are we seeing on this left-hand side right now?
Yeah, it looks like we are only running the Null Rune Hood, so only one source of AB. Which is kind of interesting. I think that Oscilio is kind of, does throw a lot of physical attacks and have arcane spells as well, but maybe this is something that the Oscilio can kind of notice and take advantage of. I'm not sure. We'll have to see how this game plays out. Aside from that, of course, we have the Valiant Dynamo, which puts in so much blocking power. Braveforge Bracers, which is two Battle Worn and Grains of Blood Spill, which of course is two block temper. Yeah, sorry. Thank you so much. Grains of Blood Spill also does on when a weapon attack hits, you can pay one Creative Vigor for your next turn, which maybe could help with the resource curve a little bit in terms of being able to pitch to the No Rune Hood, but I'm not sure. We'll see.
So, the thing about the grains specifically is that often you have, these blues, or you ideally have these blues with these daggers, and you're trying to hit with them, and it kind of gives you a way to get that next dagger hit across the next turn, like you mentioned, carrying that resource across over, helping with your curve a little bit, meaning that you can potentially pitch a red and still attack with both daggers if need be. But for the meantime, we have a Fry on the right-hand side, on Seb's side. 3 damage, go again. No other abilities, nice, clean, simple, doesn't even block, but it's purely offensive card, and it is getting in for 3. Looks like the combat train's being broken.
Okay, so that is what, a Comet Storm Shock? Comet Storm Shock. I don't know why I said Comet. Comet Storm.
And it looks like we're also getting the Volzar activation on the shock side of things here. Seeing that 2 lightning cards have been played, coming in for 3 arcane damage from the shock, and then an additional 4 from the Comet Storm.
Yep, life totals. I mean, this is only turn 1 of the game, and life totals are 29 to 31. These players are. This is looking like it is going to be a bit of a race.
Mm-hmm.
I love the Marvel heroes on both sides of the boards. They look incredible.
Absolutely devoted, The Marvel Fang on, is that the Emperor? Or on a very draconic aesthetic playmat. And then, of course, showing the devotion to the League itself, Seb has the League That Means Nothing Season 3 playmat. Good point, though, about this being a fairly aggressive matchup, though. Both of these decks contain either 2 blocks or instants that don't block.
Yep.
So it may actually be difficult for either side to block, depending on how they've sideboarded.
Yeah, I would imagine. Okay, so this is really good. We've got a pledge fealty here, which is just going to make a fealty. There's no conditions happening.
Mm-hmm.
However, we are having some wizard shenanigans happening on Oscilio's side of the board with this null shot coming down.
Super interesting card, this one. Not one that I've seen resolve very often for the null side of it. I believe that's going to stifle the fealty instant. I've already forgotten the name.
Pledge fealty.
Pledge fealty, yes. So, dealing 1 point of arcane damage and then preventing damage. Not preventing, countering an instant. And using the Volzar just to make sure that the shock side of things does in fact deal damage.
The Volzar, and it looks like we had the Aether Bindings of the Third Age as well, which, if you don't know, reads instant destroy this until end of turn whenever an aura permanent you control with sigil in its name leaves the arena amp 1. Which I'm a little curious about because I don't know if we had an aura permanent with sigil leave the arena, unless I missed it.
I believe it was just used to block.
Oh, that's what happened. Okay. Yep, don't listen to me. That makes way more sense.
We do have the first mark token placed on the Oscilio, meaning these daggers will have an on-hit. We've got the Vigor token from the Grains of Blood spill, but no fealty yet due to the Pledge fealty getting countered. So super exciting play on that side. And we're running it back. We're going 3 go again, nothing else, just a simple fry. A small fry. Actually, it's the red one. It's the big fry. But here we're seeing that fridge come into play.
You know, I know you mentioned these decks having a lot of 2 blocks and instants that don't block, but Fry is a bit of an interesting situation as well, where this is a 0 block attack action card. So imagine if we see it, if Seb sees it in their hand, they're just not going to block with it.
Well, conveniently for Seb, they've already played 2 of them. So that should only come up once more potentially. That mark token sticking around, doing huge work here as Savor Bloodshed.
Savor Bloodshed. Yeah.
Not Spill. We're savoring it. Getting onto this dagger, coming for 5 with the on-hit draw card, thanks to that mark token. Interesting interaction here with Fang. Doesn't necessarily mark in the same way that Arachne does, so you kind of have to time it to an extent. But it does punish your opponent for blocking out your attacks, which is kind of where you want to be, right? But we're getting bigger. Here's an Endear Devotion, giving your dagger attack +3. Unfortunately for David, he doesn't have another chain link at the moment, so we're not looking at the fealty token just yet, but the on-hit from this marked and the Fang ability will create that fealty, and damage is being dealt a huge amount, dropping down to 19.
Yeah. So I believe this dagger is at 9, this Obsidian Fire Vein. Yeah.
Tasty
9?
Bloodshed. Speaking of marvels, that's a marvel fealty. Yes, it was.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yep, I can do math.
Usually it's my strength.
Yep, marbles all over the board state.
David seems committed to the Fang life. With these extended promos, I think a lot of them, if not all of them, have been foiled. That Savor Bloodshed looks kind of foiled too. And here we have 4 damage. And when this attacks a marked hero, which, unfortunately for David, Seb no longer is, create a fealty token. So in this case, we are just getting in with a 0 for 4. Efficient damage numbers. However, potentially signaling something here, we do see the block with the Lightning Greaves, which does usually signify that we're going for the big turn, especially because Seb did not choose to block with anything else other than equipment just then.
Yeah,
and
Seb,
also, that's a Crown of Providence that did not get activated. It just blocked. So, Seb's very happy with his hand.
Very good point. Yeah, Seb took a lot of damage that turn. Okay, here we go. Some Oscilio shenanigans, opening up with Gone in a Flash.
This card doesn't even have Go again. What are we doing?
No, of course not. We're gonna see the Greaves. These turns are so silly. This is the turns like this is why Oscilio is named silly.
And we didn't get the double dagger attack last turn either, so we don't have the Valiant Dynamos available at this point.
Yeah, that is really unfortunate.
Everything has gone perfectly according to plan for Seb here. Lightning Greaves activation, destroy this, instant cards you play this turn, gain, go again. And we have Shock. The null side I don't imagine happening so much. But we're going to keep building up counters on the Volzar. Bouncing this Gauntlet Flash after the damage has been dealt. But the go again from the Shock being now providing Seb with the action points again. Ooh. This one's not Gauntlet Flash.
Oh, this is Eclectic Magnetism. When this attacks, you may play a non-action card this chain link as though it were an instant.
So, what kind of non-attack action cards are we looking for here, potentially?
Yeah, that's really interesting. In Oscilio, a non-attack action card.
There's no books that are legal, right?
Oh, we burned all the books.
Mm.
I don't know. I mean, this is a Majestic. I just played this deck in limited. I didn't even. Yeah, of course, non-attack action card in Oscilio.
Meanwhile, David's taking some time to think here. Like, this doesn't provide a non-hit. The Gauntlet Flash hasn't provided a non-hit. That's fully blocked out. I guess the question is, like, are we going to play around this potential Channel Lightning Valley as long as we can? This has an on-attack trigger, not an on-hit trigger, so that doesn't kind of affect that there. We've got +3 here.
Be something like
Oh.
Okay.
Okay, so we're using it to do the burn spell here, and this way we get to still have no, the Gauntlet Flash. There's no action points after this, right? Don't think so. No, it's just the Gauntlet Flash in the hand. So we're just gonna end the turn on this.
Probably arsenaling that. Yeah. Yeah, I'm still trying to think. I feel like potentially the only non-attack, like maybe a flash or something like that, but
it was.
I don't think Oscilio runs many non-attack.
I think it was the burn spell, in this case the Mind Warp specifically, because without the ability to play it in an instant, there was no action points remaining, with no instants there.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, arcane spells are non-attacks.
They are not. They deal damage, and somehow we both forgot that. But this
we both forgot that.
We both. It's early for Elaine, late for me, and just right for you, the viewer, watching this at your own pace.
It is early. I rolled out of bed. I went, used the restroom, and then jumped on this recording. Like,
this might be unbelievable to some viewers. Same for me. I also just rolled out of bed. The old post-nap work. But there we go. The Mind Warp happened. Hands were disrupted, giving David a whole slew of new options that he may or may not like. But the important thing is he didn't have a choice. Life totals are at 18 apiece. Surprisingly tight at life total race.
This is a very tight-knit life total race. That was a really powerful turn from Oscilio, but David kind of able to take it well, and we'll see what they can swing back with here.
Mm-hmm. And that's kind of the power of that warrior fridge that we see. There's only Arcane Barrier 1, but being able to still keep cards in hand to apply pressure, make sure that we're not going to lose these fealties, and just shove the equipment during the big Gauntlet on the Flash turn, like, was a really handy way for David to not lose everything here. We have Long Whisker Loyalty. This has a lot of words, a lot of different abilities, and we'll see what mode they choose for this one. Looks like they went with +2. So +1 from the Fire Vein, 2 from the Long Whisker Loyalty. 4, go again. Being blocked by a God on the Flash.
Yeah, and I think the +2 makes sense here. Just
Mhm.
trying to really push some damage through. These life totals are close. And even without the fealty, David is able to 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 maintain. What am I trying to say? They're still in this game even without the fealties at this low total. Like pressure is still coming from David's side of the mat to Seb,
Mhm.
and vice versa. So I think just doing the +2, trying to push some damage, is definitely the right play.
For sure. And like part of that kind of continuous flow is that grains of blood spill. We've seen this resource kind of float between turns. Just making sure that David will always have the resources. Like in this turn, was able to pitch a yellow to attack with both daggers, but still keep that vigor token rolling across turns should there ever be some sort of sketchy sort of moments. Now, crucially, with only Arcane Barrier 1, we're not likely to see multiple resources pitched into defending the wizard action damage spells, as we now remember. Hey, this card looks familiar.
Yeah. That is Etchings of Arcana. We worked on revealing this card together.
Yeah, I think that was the first one we actually worked on together. I
I
was
think it was the first reveal we did together. Yeah.
technically a spoiler for me, from memory,
Yeah.
but I saw that card. I'm like, you have to be in it. We weren't getting the surge ability there because that was just the Etchings of Arcana, just a 0 for 3. A very slow head jab that does not have go again, but functionally this damage is like very close to unblockable based on what we see with the equipment. Twist and turn. Your next dagger attack this turn gets +3, and when this hits, you may attack with it an additional time this turn. Gruesome art.
Some gruesome art.
And now we can't even just be like, oh, it's just a dagger for 1, because we have a face up 4 damage here on this dagger. It's likely to go to at least 5. Getting a current funnel and a blue 1 damage arcane spell that I can't remember the name of. I've played with that card as well. Blocking for 6 on that first dagger. Okay, I was wrong. It was not at least 5.
Yeah, no, but that I would have also guessed it would have gone to at least 5.
Yeah.
So
Instead, we lose the fealty. So that must have been a non-draconic hand for David. Not what you want to see.
Destructive Aether Tide, I think, was that blocked card.
I think you're right. Yeah.
I think so. Mind Warp here though, dealing 2 arcane.
Mhm.
Seb just kind of really slowly chipping away at David's life total right now, with these arcane spells.
Yeah. Just kind of happy to block out a couple cards. Again, another attack without go again currently. There is a Blaze Headlong. A red card has not been played. But of course, there are potentially some instances that could turn on the Blaze Headlong to give it go again. There we go. Kind of like a dagger. Tooth of the Dragon. Your next draconic attack this turn gets +3. So, not putting damage up here, but we're going to put it on one of the daggers, which is arguably more important. Because they're the ones where you can use the warrior reactions on them. Tooth of the Dragon is one of my favorite cards in the Fang deck, to be honest. I really love the idea of, making your opponent get into the habit of trying to block out 4, having to think about 4, and then suddenly, no. This first dagger doesn't have the pump, it's on the next one. Again, for the Drakai coming in, not marked, but it is a 0 for 7. So, like, we can accept that. That's pretty big.
Yeah.
This is a 3-card 11 damage turn, and this is where we kind of see, potentially, Oscilio's inability to block sometimes, maybe too many instants. We didn't see an Oscilio activation to discard an instant and kind of recycle a card per se, so maybe Seb's actually just happy with his hand and thinks that we can get 15 damage here. That go again from the lightning embodiment could be huge.
Sigil of Brilliance into a Blast to Oblivion. Of course, you, with the Blast to Oblivion, can potentially bounce this Sigil of Brilliance back to your hand.
Mm-hmm. We're going to stack up these counters, or the count rather, on the Volzor. And we're going to get some lightning action going. Electromagnetic Somersault, bringing back this Blast to Oblivion, bringing back this Sigil of Brilliance, like you mentioned, drawing another card. We're just getting another... It's kind of like taking a whole nother turn, basically. Getting a bit of chip damage and carrying on. And now we're getting that activation you're talking about, potentially, with the arm piece. Just to really get those amp triggers going. Oh, and here we have a defense reaction, Loyalty Beyond the Grave. We did see one get pitched earlier, so potentially the activation of the Loyalty Beyond the Grave isn't going to matter. But importantly, it's a card that wasn't used from hand to defend with, for David to keep on applying pressure this turn. And we discarded that Sigil of Brilliance, so the Oscilio to draw another card. Here we have Gone and Flash once again. I feel like we're going to see this one bounce back to hand and have this turn continue and going.
Yeah, I have a feeling as well. But this still does not have Go Again, and we don't have Greaves.
David immediately proving me wrong about this Loyalty Beyond the Grave thing. Me saying that, one's been pitched. We're not likely to see the third one anytime soon. We're going to see it immediately afterwards. Sigil of Brilliance. Picking up that Gone Flash, and that was the turn. David's still having access to 3 cards to come back with. 4 cards if he wants to use the Loyalty. There he goes. Lined up perfectly on his behalf. And got away with no damage on that turn. Things could be going in David's favor right now.
Yep, Seb is only at 6 life.
Mm-hmm. And when you start to get like dangerously low in your life total, suddenly all these daggers become must blocks because of the potential of the damage. And then when you're having to overcommit the blocks, they don't have to necessarily block that or use a damage bonus. They can use something like a Pledge Fealty, at which point that's just very rough for you. In this case, we are going up to 4. The reaction here giving the dagger go again. This has been blocked 4/4 thanks to the tunic as well. I'm lying, it's been blocked for 3.
Yeah, Blast to Oblivion must be a 2 block.
I forgot, it's a lightning card. Of course it only blocks for 2. And now we have this inconspicuous 1, but if you don't respect... Oh.
Vote.
This is not a card I've seen played against me. If you're attacking the weapon this chain link, the defending hero reveals a card in their hand. If it's an action card, add to the chain link as a defending card, otherwise they discard it.
Yep, so this is going to take a card from Seb's hand. No matter what, Seb already working off a 3-card hand because of the Blast to Oblivion block committed.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like we're going to get a Oscilio activation in response to this before Seb reveals her hand.
And getting rid of the the buff there, just to try to keep the actions in the hand and not block this card. 1 damage currently still coming through. And we remove the counter from the dynamos, pass the turn.
Yeah, the Sigil of Brilliance at least providing the draw card when it leaves the battlefield.
Mm.
And the second Blast to Oblivion, just confirming that is a 2 block.
It is a 2 block, there we go. Speaking of blocking for 2, that Grains has done enough work now. This Dynamo is going to continue to do work potentially. The Discharge is bumping this up to 5.
Well, So this hand had 2 electrostatic discharges and 2 Blast to Oblivions, it looks like.
Mm-hmm. And this board state looks almost exactly the same. I feel like this is a recurring theme for Oscilio. We're just seeing the same cards in a flash, I guess. I don't know. It's just all here.
He's so silly. I love him so much.
But again, he is on 4. And 4 is the actual number that it can kill you. So like now you kind of are prized into blocking everything with at least a card, just so you don't die on the spot potentially. But you can also play multiple reactions on the same card. So we'll see. Maybe David just goes over the top if he thinks there's no defense reactions going about.
Yeah, this has been a really fun game to watch, though. Um, I think Seb's in a little bit of a difficult position being at such low life and also having no equipment, having to play this game really face up.
Yeah. If there's one thing I've learned this year is that I have an appreciation for Fang. I thought that like Cinder was my main hero from the 100 and arguably still is. But Fang's kind of filled the role that Bolton had in my life, which is my favorite hero that I've never played and probably won't. Has some really cool, interesting patterns. Like, it feels like it should be the same every turn, but it's not. There's a whole bunch of nuances with the reactions. But also, there's just a bunch of damage. And we're getting a fealty token from this. This is coming in for 5 because it's +3 on top of the 1/1 from the dagger. We're getting a Oscilio activation just to draw a card and try to apply something back to David at this point, but with Seb losing cards at a rapid pace every turn, having to defend. Consigned to Cosmos Shock. Looks like we're just dying.
Yes. I think we're just dying. Yep.
Wow. That was not how I expected that game to go. We talked about the traditional struggles that Warrior has against Wizards and stuff, but that didn't feel like a traditional Warrior game. Like, Fang was aggressive, applying pressure with double attacks every turn, and that is kind of the downfall for Wizards, is the aggro sort of decks, especially when you can prevent the amount of damage they do. And Oscilio doesn't have the same sort of evasiveness, I guess, that other Wizards have with their big spells to the same extent. Like, Oscilio has to play a lot of attacks beforehand, or a lot of lightning cards beforehand, before they can deal a lot of this evasive damage. And we just didn't quite see that this game.
Yeah, I mean, Oscilio had 2 very silly, very fun, strong turns that we did see, but it just wasn't enough. I mean, David on Fang was able to just kind of rely a lot on that equipment block to maintain high life totals and then send back these really strong high damage output hands. We never saw Fang get to the 3 fealty, but you know, they didn't need to.
Yeah, it didn't really come up, right?
Yeah, and I think also that card, I'm drawing a blank on the name of it, but the one that you were proved wrong about immediately, like, see,
Loyalty Beyond the Grave.
Yes, the loyalty beyond the grave really helped David out in that situation as well. Very well played from both sides. So I said it during the game, but I'll say it again. That was a really fun game to watch.
That was.
I enjoyed that.
Yeah, no, for sure. For me personally, I think the key part that was kind of missing from that game that would kind of let Seb back into it is that Lightning Greaves turn. Like, we've seen Lightning Greaves enable some absolutely disgusting 4 or 5 times gone on a flash sort of turns. And ultimately we didn't quite get that. And that, I think, was the main difference between like closing out those life totals, bringing the game, or like getting ahead earlier on.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, super fun, super interesting lines from both players, both decks. Instants, who knew? You know, you can do some pretty wacky things with instants.
Yeah, that was fun. So make sure that you tune in again for more of the League That Means Nothing. Kiki and I will still be around, but of course, there are a lot of other great people also doing this thing for this league that you should check out. So until next time.